You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. WPBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
Checking Sunday's action from Week 10 in the NFL. The Sunday night game saw the Lions beat the Texans in Houston 26-23. Detroit rallied down 16 at the half. They win it on a last-second field goal to improve to 8-1 and have won 7 in a row. Houston falls to 6-4. Steelers pull out a 28-27 road win over the Commanders. Pittsburgh 7-2. Washington falls to 7-3. Chiefs are 9-0 after beating the Broncos 16-14. They blocked a Denver game-winning field goal attempt on the final play. Eagles are 7-2. They've won 5 in a row. They embarrassed the Cowboys in Dallas 34-6. 49ers edged the Buccaneers on a last-second field goal 23-20. Saints surprised the Falcons 20-17. Bills over the Colts 30-20. Buffalo is 8-2. Cardinals roll over the Jets 31-6. Chargers top the Titans 27-17. Vikings are 7-2 after getting by the Jaguars 12-7. Patriots beat the Bears 19-3.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick you, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Yeah, there's a bad connection. Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and 1230 a.m. WTBC. The Tide rolled and the Tigers ran. We'll talk about we'll talk about that. Have you ever seen a major stadium like that empty out like that? The Tide did their thing. We'll look inside the playbook, the game plans this week as Alabama, both offensively and defensively had an unbelievable game plan for the LSU Tigers. We'll look at Jalen Milroe goes off. We'll look at around the nation, college football playoff picture getting clearer and muddier all at the same time. And, of course, Bama Hoops this week. We'll look at those topics and more right here on your home for Alabama Sports, Tide 100.9 and 1230 a.m. WTBC. This is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. The phone lines are already full, but the phone lines, the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline. We speak, we train, we coach. You can also add your thoughts and comments, reactions and questions in the live stream chat based on which one you're tuned into, and we'll work those into the conversation. We'll be adding Kennington Smith III to the conversation here in just a moment as we kick off the second quarter. Once again, this is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's a manic Monday, but it's a happy manic Monday. Good morning, X. How you doing? Yeah, your connection is horrible, so can't hear anything. Let's go ahead and get to a phone line while we're trying to figure out what's going on with X and his connection. Chuck, you're in with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind?
Good morning to you all. I know you all are very happy over that way. And my father and I watched that game on Saturday evening, and you all came ready, and Jalen Milroe really showed out. My father got a chance to see him, and it made my Dad love. He looked at my father at the time he came along. He's looking at quarterbacks. He came along looking at black quarterbacks, and he was glad. He was happy for Milroe seeing his performance, and he didn't care what team he played with, and he really put on. And I wonder, Brother Houston and X and Chase, I wonder what happened to all these haters out there, and what are they thinking right now to how they've been treating him. But he stepped up and he showed out, and I think, like you said, Brother Houston, they cleared out of the stadium so quickly down there in Death Valley, and it's something they clear because traffic gets heavy down in Baton Rouge.
You're okay?
Yes.
You still there, Chuck?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great game for Jalen Milroe, and to me, it showed that what we've been saying for a while is absolutely 100% true. Jalen Milroe has been injured, and he seems to be back. He seemed like the Jalen Milroe we saw in the Georgia game. And if you think about it, this Alabama team did not let their foot off the gas. And now he's ready to go. And thanks for you and your dad's insight and keeping us connected there. Thanks, Chuck.
All right, you're welcome. That live tiger didn't help LSU. I'm laying on that when the governor brought that tiger.
No, it didn't.
It didn't help I'm laying on that one. You all take care.
Take care. Pat, you're in with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Martin. I was there. Hey, it was unreal, but I have seen that before. You asked the question, have you ever seen a stadium empty out that fast? Yes, I have. Down at the Swamp, when we went to Florida, there was the only thing left was a crimson ring around the top of the stadium. And they give Alabama the really bad seats there at Florida, and that crimson ring. I put that, and that would have been the picture that I put in the paper when I started recruiting the state of Florida, was how terrible. And the LSU fans are just maybe worse. When they start losing, they don't. The stadium. Go ahead, Morton.
I've seen stadiums empty out, but I've never seen a stadium empty out that fast and that early. We've ended games like that, but there's never been a game, in my opinion, Pat, where they were gone in the third quarter. I mean, they talked about it on television. It was so bad, Pat.
Yeah. And it did when we went to to New Orleans and beat the crap out of them down there for the national championship. They were leaving in the third quarter there too. And but not as empty as as the stadium at Baton Rouge. That was unreal, and that's what I would use against when I recruit the state of Louisiana. That's exactly what I would use against them. That Alabama, I've seen Alabama leave a few times. When we got beat by South Carolina, they left pretty early, and that's been about 20 years ago. And I've been going Alabama ball games since 1990 when I was watching you, and it's been absolutely an incredible thing to see this. And but
Real quick, get to the game before I have to let you go, Pat. If you got something on the game, go ahead and get to it.
Yeah. But on the football game, what we were doing as far as running the ball was absolutely amazing. And they had to, our receivers, they had to respect the receivers, and the receivers being where they were in the blocking downfield and things that the receivers were doing also assisted Jalen. It was an entire team effort. And what he was saying about black quarterbacks, whatever quarterbacks, our quarterback was crimson. Our football team is crimson, and that's what I want to say. It's not black, it's not white, it's crimson. And, hey, y'all have a blessed day, and we'll end it with a great note like that. Okay?
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate you.
All right, so I'm finally back and joining us, and we've got Alan joining us on the Empowerment Strategy Solution Hotline. Alan, how you doing this morning?
All right, how y'all doing? I'm tired. All these Milroe haters and all these Coach DeBoer haters, I don't want to hear them no more. Don't jump on the bandwagon now because he had a good game. It just goes to show the man was hurt, and everybody came down on him. Except a couple of people, even the media came down on him. So don't jump on the bandwagon now. I want you to have the same energy that y'all had when y'all had it a couple of weeks ago. And another thing you can tell the man was hurt was because he missed 2 deep passes. He doesn't miss those deep passes. He's a little bit rusty from I guess from the leg injury, wherever it was, but he's a little bit rusty. And look out for the next couple of weeks. Bama's going to win out. But like I said,
I'll tell you this, that third of Ryan, I think if it was in good weather conditions, that's 6 points. Because that pass was perfect, on the money. Just when Ryan tried to pull it in, the slickness of his arms, the ball, the jersey, just pushed it through as he was falling. But I think he's good. That first one to Eman was a little getting the rust off, but that throw to Ryan was everything you wanted it to be in good weather conditions.
And I would say that even the one to Emmanuel, he probably was gripping the ball to make sure it doesn't slip out. And because of the way he probably had to adjust his grip, it also affected the velocity. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but it seems like he kind of let that one rip out of the grip. But either way, I mean, those 2 passes were not bad. Here's the thing: neither one of those balls floated.
Exactly.
And everything he threw from South Carolina up until this week floated. Everything. Right. I mean, short passes, long passes, they didn't have the velocity and that tight spiral on them that we've come to know. But to your point, the haters, go drink your Haterade and just act like you were all for him, especially if this performance repeats itself down the stretch. It was obvious. Anybody that watched the previous 4 games should have been able to see he was injured. I understand why they didn't say it, but I'm going to close on this. It's obvious that dude's been injured. And that other guy, and this is no offense to him. I like him. I think he's going to be a quarterback of the future. But it's obvious who they think gives them the best chance to win.
Right. He wasn't ready. You're right.
Healthy or not. Right. All right. Thanks, Alan. Good to hear from you, man. Been a while. Good to hear from
you. Yeah. We're going to get to break, and when we come back on the other side, we'll have Kenny Smith III joining us as we break down Alabama's absolute dominant win over the LSU Tigers. We'll catch you on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, hello and happy Monday morning to you. We're looking at nothing more than pretty basic taps on the brakes around the area right now. Very, very lightly traveled on Skyland Boulevard in between 2059 and McFarland. And you're also finding we're smooth sailing on McFarland at the Lurleen Wallace and
in West Alabama. If they don't have what you're looking for on the lot, they'll find it for you. Check out the complete inventory at Mercedes-of-Tuscaloosa.com. Roll Tide.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com.
Precious, best quality to our customers. So we just look at it as, hey, basically, we're your kitchen. You're just coming to eat in your kitchen. Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They've moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're live locally and got things rolling right here. We're powered by Box Eye Care. Don't forget to go check them out, Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com. They have that extensive new inventory and an in-house lab, and they'll make sure that you're taken care of. Dr. Box and his team are there to serve you. So go check them out or go online at boxeyecare.com and find out more about this great organization. Box Eye Care, your vision, their priority.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, and we have Kennington Smith III joining us this morning. How you doing, Kennington?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing good. So, Kennington, Bama, 42-13 win over the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge, or as we like to say, Bryant-Denny West. With the way Alabama's been able to dominate down there, it is 6 out of the last 7, and no telling what the overall number is. I can't even remember. I just know we win there a lot. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it was confirmation that what we saw against Missouri wasn't a fluke. I think there was some criticism out there or people speculating about if that was just a really good result against a really beat-up team, or could they replicate this against LSU? And obviously they were able to do that. Most complete game of the year. Offense and defense both played well, complemented each other well. And it feels like this team is, finding a good form with 3 very winnable games to go. So pretty dream scenario for Alabama all around. Their own result against LSU, Georgia taking a second loss, and other teams losing as well. So their playoff standing is looking pretty solidified.
Yeah, Kennington, when you look at what happened in that particular game, to me, it's really not that difficult. This is the second full game, and if you take Missouri, you saw it where they had the game plan that they had against Georgia the first half. Mm-hmm. That I really think that this coaching staff messed up when they took their foot off the gas and they lost it. And then I think Jalen Milroe has been injured. But Kane Womack seemed like he has finally said, okay, this is not my style, but that's this team's strength on defense. So let's do it. And it took him a couple games to figure it all out, but it seems like that's the pattern. Because what they did defensively to this dominant team, Nussmeier probably showed something he didn't know he had to avoid being sacked about 8 times on Saturday.
Right. He was eluding pressure for sure, and it was a great game plan, like you said. Like, it was very much like you see this look in the NFL where they just like line everybody up on the line of scrimmage. You don't know who's blitzing, you don't know who's dropping back, and he was showing LSU one thing, and then post snap was doing another, and it just kept them off balance all night. On top of the fact that they're creating turnovers, they're 4th in the nation in forced turnovers, number 1 in the SEC. The offense is starting to score some points off of those as well. So the defense is starting to ascend to almost an elite level when you think about how other defenses across the country are playing right now.
Yeah, Kennington, when we're talking about this game, the defense was absolutely lights out. The pressures that they were able to get. We heard all the last couple of weeks how great this offensive line was for LSU, and we had those guys in fits all night, not just rushing the passer, but penalties wise and things of that nature that threw things off even in the run game for LSU. And then you turn around and you look at the offense. Man, is it safe to say Jalen Milroe was banged up at least, and that we finally saw him after this bye week healthy and back to Heisman Trophy contention, Jalen Milroe, from the beginning of the season?
Yeah, definitely. That explosiveness, I'd not seen that in several weeks, and obviously it arrived at the perfect time. And then to Martin's point earlier about the Georgia game plan, outside of the fact that there was a lot of layered play calling and run plays, something that they did against Georgia, they just had a lot of easy access throws. There were a lot of plays where Georgia was bringing pressure. There was always an answer for the pressure. There was always somebody in the flat. There was somebody that he could check the ball down to, and Milroe was taking advantage of those. He did the same thing against LSU. They didn't throw the ball deep, but a couple of times they really didn't have to, though, because they were just taking what LSU was giving them in the pass game to stay ahead of the chains, and the run game was doing the rest.
Real quick, X, and we can't overlook. Well, let's get Robert. Go ahead and get Robert.
Okay. So we have Robert from Mobile wanting to talk about the game. How you doing this morning, Robert?
Hey, guys. I think Milroe's going to have to pay a bunch of taxes next year, especially property taxes, since he now owns Tiger Stadium. He's going to have to – how much tax he got to pay? But they'll never be able to collect because there's nobody in Louisiana can catch him. So I guess he won't owe anything else, dog. He will. Yeah, like you said, actually, we might well call it Bryant Denny West. It's just unreal the success Alabama's had there. I've never understood how we can be so successful at LSU, which have had much better teams than Auburn, and it's just one of those things. I'll never figure it out. I
think it's like brothers, man. I mean, I think what happened is Alabama recruits nationally, and I'm not dogging Auburn with this, Robert. It really, when we say the SEC means more, I think that Alabama Auburn games means more to the Auburn people than it does Alabama people, and the players play like that because they grow up hearing about it. Think about how little Alabama guys, what has Auburn meant to, think about this. You had to beat LSU to get to a championship. Whatever you had to do against Auburn, most of the time, all they've been playing is a spoiler.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And so you kind of look at them in the category of where you have to be motivated to play them. You don't have to be motivated. Even though we've dominated LSU, you don't have to get motivation for LSU or Tennessee. I don't know if you heard Coach Saban say it, even though he had a 16-game win streak or 15-game win streak against Tennessee, whatever it was, he said he never had to get the players up for Tennessee. How is that possible except for it matters?
That's just really perplexing. Yeah, but you're right. It always matters more. I think one stat is Nick Saban's never beat a top 10 Auburn team. But the biggest reason for that because Auburn has rarely given him a top 10 team to play.
He didn't have a lot of opportunities.
There's no question right now. If Milroe is on, Alabama is the best team in the nation. That is bottom line. They will beat anybody in the nation. If Milroe's on, we're practically unbeatable. And right now this is like the NFL. We've always been saying, it's not how you start and you get and one loss or two losses don't end your season anymore. It's just how you finish. And you finish strong. That's like the NFL. That's how college football is now. Oh, one more thing before I go. People have been talking a lot about the SEC championship game, and the Alabama can still make it. And it's to the point now to where, do you really want to make it? This game has become so the way it's set up. You're almost punished for making it, especially if you're a two-loss team. What risk you in the playoffs if you don't play another game, and if you lose it, you're out. There was a good
question, Robert, because we were supposed to have that debate. Kennington, will the 10-3 runner-up in the SEC be left out?
I don't think Alabama would in that scenario. Alabama has the best resume in the country. If you look at the intersection of who's played the strongest schedule and who has the most quality wins, that would be Alabama. So I feel like them at 10-3 would still be a playoff team. So like Colorado, for example, at 10-2, if they lose the Big 12 championship, they're probably not going to be a playoff team. So I think it's situational, but Bama in that situation, I think, would be in the field. Yes.
Oh, wow.
But it's still a risk.
It is a risk.
It is.
I think it's based on how high that team that loses is ranked.
To give you some perspective of what Kennington was saying, 3 of the current top 5 teams in the AP poll, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, do not have a win over a currently ranked team. Alabama has 4. The current top 5 combined has 3.
And 4 is the most in the country.
Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I agree with you both that for Alabama, that's an unlikely scenario. But again, you're Texas. Yeah, I'm in the playoffs right now. If I play Alabama and lose, I'm out because I played that extra game. Here's what makes it work, though. Here's what makes it work. If you want to keep a conference championship, you want to keep the money, fine. The regular season is what determines the playoffs. The conference champions, if you want to play them, you can play them, and not going to determine who makes it to the championship, who makes it to the playoffs. I know it's unlikely. And pay the players to play in that conference championship game to make it worthwhile. They need to pay them. They need to pay them for the playoffs anyway.
Yeah, Robert, and I think that to your point, you could do sort of what basketball does. Basketball has the regular season SEC champion, and then you can have a tournament champion.
Right.
And of course, the tournament champion gets the higher bid, of course. And you could technically do that. Say it was Alabama and Texas had 2 loss or 1 loss, whatever. If they had 1 loss or whatever, that the championship gets the higher seed, but the regular season champion gets a bid. And I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see them go to 16 teams so they can make that a reality, because they're going to be talking about the same thing like we are, is that you're going to have a really, really good team in seasons like this where that you end up with that. Here's something, and we need to let you go. But listen to this, Robert. You look at the rankings, and you think the Big Ten is the best team in the conference. But what you have is there's a bunch of teams at the top of the SEC, and then there's a bunch of teams at the bottom. Well, not even a bunch at the bottom anymore. No. But we're going to end up with what, 6-7 teams potentially at 10-2.
That's just. This is a wonderful time to be a football fan with the new system. It is time to pay these players for this postseason play. It is past time. You want all these games in the postseason? You pay these guys to play them. They share in some of that revenue.
And that's, to me, Robert, what the NFL does. The NFL has your salary, and then if your team gets to the playoffs, you get a bonus per player. And if you keep winning, it goes up with the wild. You get something for the wild cards, you get something for the divisional round, you get something for the divisional championship, and you get something for the Super Bowl. So exactly. I will not be surprised if that money doesn't come, because the university, the teams that play in those games get paid more money to play in those games.
Exactly. You got the money. You just don't want to share it. But it's time to get over that. This amateur, they're not amateurs anymore. Yeah, are you any less excited for the games? All these folks said they wouldn't think about as much. The ratings are still up. So there you go. All right, guys.
All right. Coming back on the other side, we'll dig in a little bit more with Kennington Smith III. Get his thoughts on his beloved Georgia Bulldogs. What should there be worry, concern, or did Lane Kiffin mature and coach football and not play analytic games? Is that why the Rebs roll? We'll talk about that as well as we continue to break down Alabama versus LSU.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, hello and happy Monday morning to you. We're looking at nothing more than pretty basic taps on the brakes around the area right now. Very, very lightly traveled on Skyland Boulevard in between 2059 and McFarland. And you're also finding we're smooth sailing on McFarland at the Lurleen Wallace entry.
An all-phase electric supply touch every part of what powers your life. Stop by CED in Tuscaloosa, Coleman, and Decatur, or all-phase electric supply in Albertville and Huntsville.
Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way each and every day for 50 years and counting. If you're looking for a great option for lunch and or dinner, then you need to check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, and while you're there, don't forget to get a big glass of that sweet tea. Visit them online at tacocasa.com. That's tacocasa.com. Quality, taste, and value on the biggest cactus in town. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today. Email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com or call 205-242-5127.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The chance of a few lingering showers this morning. Otherwise, the sky becoming partially sunny today, the high 76. Mostly clear tonight, the low 64. Tomorrow, a dry day with a good supply of sunshine, the afternoon high at 73. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. We got Kennington Smith III in with us. We'll get to him in just a moment. Also want to encourage you to support your favorite athlete. That's number 35. Get your officially licensed gear at athletesthread.com/collections/Martin-Houston. And hey, listen, this football season, Bama got 2 big games this week coming off of a gritty, tough win, which they need, I think. against Arkansas State and former Bama assistant. But get your legacy jersey today. Once again, that's athletesthread.com/collections/Martin-Houston. I thought it was pretty funny. MHS 0407. Blind Squirrel Sport was trying to help out his Georgia Bulldogs Saturday when he ran out on the field to kind of break the momentum, didn't he? Yeah. He said that was his cousin. Oh, man. Kennington, real quick, before we get back to the Alabama game, real quick, what were your thoughts in terms of the Georgia game? Is the Bowers and McConkey absence showing that those two guys actually bailed Carson Beck out of a lot of stuff last year and was his safety blanket?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But when you look at Georgia's team, who are they? What are they? What's
They've been a dominant physical run team powered by that offensive line. And a great defense.
Is there anything that this Georgia team does that you know they'll do well every single week, no matter what?
Nope.
Besides kicking and punting.
Nope.
Right. Can't run the ball. They can't throw the ball. The defense up and down, not winning on the lines of scrimmage anymore, inconsistent play calling. They're just a little all over the place. They don't have an identity. They're like a nameless, faceless opponent. So, luckily, in this 12-team era for them, it's not over yet. All they got to do is beat Tennessee on Saturday, but that is going to be a tall task.
Yeah, and here's the question I have. I agree that I think they'll do it at home. I think that they will cause the young freshman quarterback redshirt. I'm not sure whether he lost his red shirt or not, but I think he will. I think he'll make some mistakes. They have to have some injuries at running back. I'm not dogging number 32 for Georgia, but when you're playing against Ole Miss and he's your go-to back, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's a problem. He's like like you said, all respect to Cash Jones. He's been a solid player, but he should not be Georgia's running back one.
No, they do have Branson Robinson, Roderick Robinson,
ETN.
ETN's banged up. So you're stuck with a true freshman. Now, granted, the true freshman is the 5-star Nate Frazier, and then you have Cash Jones. That's why you saw so much of the two of those guys, because two of them just have been out hurt. One has missed the whole season, I think, and then ETN being banged up. They're really down to their 4th and 5th string running backs.
Yeah. But I also think that Beck was overrated. I said that from the beginning, all last year, all off season. He's had 4 big games in his career, and the only one he's won was Texas, beaten by Alabama twice, beaten by Ole Miss this year, and even in the one
he
win,
played horrible against Texas. It was the defense in the run
game.
game.
One win, he wasn't great. But hey, flip back to Alabama, Kennington. Nobody's talking about this. What was it? 5 penalties all night or 4? To me, you have to understand we got the penalties at the key moments in our favor versus committing them this Saturday night. How big was that?
Yeah, the face mask of like that LSU got on that 3rd down sack had to have felt so refreshing for Alabama fans. Like, we are on the opposite end of that for the first time, maybe all season. It feels like Alabama's been called for that type of penalty 4 or 5 games in a row. LSU was not the more composed team at home, which was surprising. Alabama definitely had a much better plan to control the crowd noise. I think a fast start was a big part of that. But you're right. They went in there. They played composed. They played a clean game, no turnovers, fewer penalties than LSU. And probably the biggest one of all is they only had 1 false start after the first false start on the first play of the game. So the offense was buttoned up.
All right. Hey, so I just want to take a minute and thank all the veterans out there today, as it is Veterans Day. To my brothers and sisters, for those of you that don't know, I served in the United States Marine Corps. Special shout out to my two grandfathers, the late Noah Dobbins, who was in the Air Force, and my grandfather, Henry Houston, who was in the Army. So I just want to take a minute to thank all the men and women that have served this great country. They give us the opportunity to get out here and be able to talk sports on a Monday and just do all the things that we love to do in this country. Just want to salute all of you all. Thank you again for your service. And we've got J-Rob joining us on the Empowerment Strategy Solution Hotline. How you doing this morning, J-Rob?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody else doing today? Good.
Blessed.
Hey, first off, I want to echo what X just said. I mean, we need to remember our veterans. We appreciate them, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, to talk sports and live our lives in freedom and enjoy our lives. So thank you to all the veterans out there. But also, X, I want to give you some props, because you said the other day before that basketball game it wasn't going to be a pretty game, but we would win, but it wouldn't be a pretty game. And you were exactly right on the money, correct on that.
I didn't want to be.
but you called it, man. That's awesome. But let's talk about the main thing. Alabama went down there to Baton Rouge, and I'm so happy for them, happy for Jalen and all the guys. They did a great job. Didn't let the weather bother them. Went down there, and nobody's talking about the weather being so bad, and that just not causing any problems for them, except for the one play with Ryan Williams catching the ball downfield in the end zone. But Jalen had a great game. It was obvious something was going on with him, but he got his confidence back for sure early, and just kept on playing really well. And that defense played really well the other night. They've been coming on all along during the season, and I think that the defensive linebackers, Jihad Campbell and Deontay Lawson, man, they played the best game they played all year. And I'm sorry to hear that Quandarius or Q Robinson's is out for the season. That's one bad news. But overall, it's a great win for the Tide, and all we got to do now is just keep winning, and I think we'll be all right. I don't care to go to the SEC championship game. Tell y'all the truth, that's just something we don't need. I mean, that's an extra game for nothing. Who y'all got to think?
Well, see, I'm a former player, so I totally disagree with that. I think the fans are gonna say no SEC championship game. Players are gonna say, man, I want to be a champion. And if that's the road and the path I have to take, I'd be shocked if there's a player that doesn't want to play in an SEC championship game.
They want those rings.
They want those rings. Yes, right. And I still in my bio it says 2-time SEC champion. And they didn't even give us a ring for the SEC championship back in my day, J-Rob. So, but I still count those two SEC championships. So I would say that's the player versus fan thing. And I get it from a fan standpoint, because you're thinking you may lose, but if you're thinking you're a champion, you don't mind playing that extra game to get that championship, because you can guarantee a championship by winning one game and then still have an opportunity, because you now, here's the thing, it's not one more game. Is it Kennington? Isn't it the same number of games? If we don't make it into the SEC championship game, most likely we're playing in round one, right?
Yeah, they are playing in round one. Yeah. Yeah, you'll be playing in round one. You're going to get a bye.
Huh?
If you win the SEC championship game, you get a bye.
So you play
more than likely.
It's the same number of games, and you could have a championship. And if you think you're the best team, if you think you're the best team in the country, you don't mind playing against, and winning that. Now, like, it could cost you like it did Georgia last year. But anyway, thanks, J-Rob. Appreciate you, man.
Y'all have a good day. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Hey, man, look. Hey, Kennington, be thinking on this. Timothy Robinson calling out Georgia, saying they finally got an SEC West schedule. Anyway, coming back, Kennington, we want to get your breakdown and thoughts on just how awesome this game plan was, Jalen Milroe's overall performance, are the Bama fans finally coming around to understanding DeBoer? Because what we've seen as the season goes along, DeBoer, still in his style, has gotten more and more intense on that sideline. Because I saw him go off on the special teams coach. So the passion is there. I think he was just feeling his way out. He's always been a great coach, in my opinion. But we'll talk about those things. Xavier has something he want to break down coming out of the break. We'll have all of those conversations coming back on the other side.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we're going to recap Alabama and LSU. We'll do the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is sponsored by Daniel Moore. Hopefully we're recapping an Alabama victory. Either way, we'll take your phone calls. We'll talk to Drew DeArmond. We'll talk to Barrett Salee. And we'll talk to Martin Houston, all starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are mundane light for the most part for now. We're looking good on those intersections, or that popular intersection, of course, of Lurleen Wallace and McFarland. Only very teeny tiny delays right there, and that's just stoplight slow goes. Once the light turns green, well, you go. Skyland Boulevard.
Experience the wow factor. Contact Shoot Masonry and Specialties at 205-887-3807 today and unleash your home's full potential.
Visit the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at midtown.com. TJ and his team are looking for the opportunity to provide you with great services, including compounding, home delivery, and a whole lot more. You're looking for a great pharmacy that'll take care of all of your needs, including wellness classes, including health, and more. That's the pharmacy at Midtown. Call them at 205.
Enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Martin and Xavier as we wrap up this fourth quarter. We have Kennington Smith III with us. Kennington, talking about Coach DeBoer and that passion, it says it's good to Lloyd Townsend says it's good to see DeBoer is getting or showing that Southern attitude and fire. I'm seeing him more vocal on the sideline, and the players look to be responding in the same manner.
Yeah. I just find it hilarious how people are like they're loving his outbursts on the sideline. Like I'm seeing like the videos of him chewing out a coach or like cursing on the sideline more than like I see fans posting highlights during games. It is hilarious, but to see DeBoer show that emotion, it is a good sign. I think steadily, Martin kind of alluded to this before the break. I think steadily fans are starting to kind of their questions are starting to be answered as the season progresses. And he has the team playing it in the right way right now. And if it all kind of ends in a playoff berth, I think you can look at this first year as a success.
Yeah. I think that is coming out more as he's gotten more comfortable throughout the season and he knows these guys better. So I definitely think this is something that you'll continue to see when needed. But, Kennington, there were some interesting comments that Brian Kelly made after the game where he talked about, Can you believe they were blitzing us with 7 guys with 22 seconds left? And I'm sitting there looking, going, Alabama had their second string in. You still had your starters in trying to score. How can you get up in front of the media and go, they blitzed us with barely any time left when you left your starters in against our backups on offense and defense?
Yeah.
And the offense scored.
Right, exactly. And the offense scored. Very unserious behavior by Brian Kelly. But hey, gotta get those stats. Guys gotta go. Guys gotta go first round. Bryce Underwood's in the crowd. You gotta show him something. At least get in the end zone. Bryce at least got to see a touchdown. He traveled all that way to see the game. So I feel it.
Yeah. Your thoughts about what we've seen from Lane Kiffin and Pete and maybe Pete Golden, like the maturity that you've seen through that game yesterday? Because there were a couple times I was like, oh, man, Lane's going to do something that might cost him in the long run. But he played that game the way you would want your coach to play it, and it ended up with a 28-10 victory.
Yeah. What I'll say about Lane Kiffin is I think the biggest thing for me was whenever Ole Miss teams typically face adversity, they would fold under that pressure. We've seen that over the last couple of years. And that the way that game started, Jackson Dart was under pressure, throws an interception, Georgia scores a touchdown. It felt like it could have trended in that direction, and then Ole Miss just kind of stepped on them the rest of the way. So I think that part of it was what really impressed me about how Lane Kiffin had them prepared to play, how their confidence was in the right place, and they went out and secured a really big win.
Really quick, how impressive was the freshman, redshirt freshman? Because I think that won the game. I mean, yeah. You can say what you want, but I think that changed the game.
Yeah, definitely. Lane Kiffin knows quarterback. I think when we talk about those guys the guys, the quarterback whisperers or whatever across the country, we're going to bring up Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day, et cetera. You have to put his name in that conversation.
100%. Yeah. And one last thing about the LSU-Bama game, and really what's going on across college football, the fans are throwing trash on the field more now than I've seen in recent years. What are your thoughts about that? And what can be done?
I think that everybody watched the Georgia and Texas game. You throw things on the field, you might get a call change. Maybe it won't happen, but there's a chance that it might. So I don't think this is going to stop, at least this season. They're probably going to have to rewrite a rule to prevent it next season. But I think we're going to continue to see it on a week-by-week basis.
Hey, Kennington, would you please do an article on fans running on the field so that the next player that hits a fan doesn't get vilified? It is the fans' fault, regardless of what happens. They have no business being on there. You cannot measure the amount of that. It's just like it'd be like somebody run out in the middle of a war where gladiators were fighting, and then you expect the gladiator to be able to calm himself. So maybe you and I can do an article on that at some point, because it bothers me.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Tell them where they can find you, man.
On Twitter/X at skinnykenny_theathletic.com or The Athletic, wherever you get your mobile app, searching my name, Kennington Smith or Alabama Athletic.
Man, it's a manic Monday, and we were all over the place. Too many topics to get to in 1 hour, so we may bring Kennington back. But thanks, Kennington, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.
All right, Roll Tide. I'm Martin Houston. That's Kennington Smith III. That's Xavier Houston. That's Chase Brumfield. This is the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. And remember this: trust in the Lord always, and not your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. We'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, and we'll add DC Capstone Report to the conversation. Roll Tide, everybody.